Hello and welcome back. We'll continue into our full Revit course. Today we'll be looking at site plan. So if you go to massing and site here under on the tab, and to create a property line, which is the first step in creating a site plan, is that you click on your property line, and there are two ways to go about this. If you want to learn this by entering distances and bearing, you can check out this video somewhere here, the link to this video. It covers how to create a site plan by this. So but we're going by creating a sketching. So I'll click on create sketching. Since we already have an outline of the site, what we can do is just to sketch, click and drag, and create a line on the outline of the site. So this creates a property boundary all through the project. So I've done this on the ground floor. If I go to the ground floor, you see the boundaries of the site. If I go to the first floor, you can see it. If I go to the roof level, you can see it. And if I go to the site layout, so whichever view you have, once you create your property boundary, you can see the site around it. The way Revit is designed, you can use contour surface to do your site, but the easiest one is to use floors, because Revit floors can also be sloped, they can be ramped, they can, you can attach some points there and pull them up and down. So I'm going to use basically floors to create my site plan. So the first one I want to create will be the driveways around the site. So I'll go to architecture, go to floor, and then select like floor architectural. It's good to create a different kind of floor for your site so that you can easily apply material. So I'm going to click on edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to name this 150 mm. Let me put it interlocking tiles. So I'll know that this is for external interlocking tiles. I can leave it at 150 mm thick. I'll click on edit, adjust the material to something like a stone finish. So I can look for a stone finish for the material. And click OK. So what I've done is I've changed the material of a floor and I've created a new floor for my interlocking. And then I'll go ahead to use line to determine the floor. So basically what I just want here is a simple site where I have parking on one side and greenery on the other side. So I'm just going to draw this out very quickly. Normally, when I draw my access road into the site, I try to just link it to an existing access road outside of the site. So if you are rendering, this might cause problem for you. Maybe you need different materials for the floor and stuff like that. But nevertheless, this is what I do most of the time. So I'll use the bevel edge to bevel these edges. Normally your access gate should be about 4 meters or 4.5 meters thereabout to allow a car driving very well. Then you can use this fillet arc. If you click on this tool to bevel edges and curves like this in Revit. And once you create a fillet, there is always a dimension here you can adjust. So it's left for you if you want to adjust it or not. So I've done this, and the most important thing in creating a floor is to make sure it's one continuous line and you don't have any intersection. And I'll click finish. So the next element I want to create will be the grass area around the plot. So I've used floors to create the walkway and also the green area around the site. So if I turn on textures, you can see the green area is green, and then the walkway has this concrete feel to it. So this is basically what I've created. Next thing I want to talk about is adding kerbs to the edge of your floors. So to create kerbs, we'll go to the level 1 to create the kerbs. Floor kerbs don't work without floors, so we need the floor kerbs at the edge of these floors. So to create kerbs, we'll go to architecture. Under floor, click this down arrow and click on floor slab edge. It's asking me to save. I'll save later. And then on the floor slab edge, if you have created other slab edge, you'll see many other ones. But if you've not, based on the template we're using, you only see one. If you click on edit type, depending on the profile you have, you're going to pick one of them and then apply the edge. So this is what the floor slab edges I have, the profiles I have based on my template. I'll just give you an example of how they work. I'll select the smallest one here. There's a material for it. I'll click OK. I'll go to 3D view so you can see exactly what we are doing. Now, because we have two floors intersecting, if I place I need to select the edge of a floor to place the profile. Now, this is a very tiny profile, so you can see how tiny it is. So we can create our own profile and place around our floor slab edge. So let's go ahead and do that. You go to File, you go to New, you go to Family. You click on it, depending if you're working on Imperial or Metrics. I'm working on Metrics, so I'll just click this to go back a little bit. Click on just English, and you see the metric folder. And then you scroll down to Metric Profile without anything, .rft, and open it. So you are just going to see two lines. You are supposed to draw the profile, and this profile will sweep around the edge of the floor to create your floor slab edge. So let's quickly do that. I'm going to use, under Create, use Line, and the line will help me. Straight line here. I'm just estimating the height of the kerbs, let's say at 200 by, let's say, 40 or thereabout. So the kerbs look something of this nature. So it depends on all the little details you might want to add on the kerbs. Some kerbs come with some recess. So now when you make your profile, just like when you're creating a floor, your profile must be continuous lines. So I'll use the split tool to split inside. Sorry, I will undo because my split to delete inner segment is turned on earlier. So I'll just split inside. I'll use the trim tool to trim these edges. The shortcut for trim is TR. And then I'll use the fillet tool. If I go to create, click on line, I'll see the fillet tool, the fillet arc tool. I can use it to create a fillet. So I'll click this, and something of this nature comes out. I can delete this. So this sort of the curve I've created, and I can save it for future project, or I can just click load and it loads into this project. It will load it as family 1 because I didn't give it any name. So if I go to the 3D view and I want to place kerbs here, all I need to go is to go to architecture, go to floor, select the floor slab. Now I need to create a duplicate. So I'll click on edit type, duplicate it. I can leave it at floor slab H2. Under my profile, you are going to see family 1. That's the new profile I just created. So I'm just going to select it, click on OK. Now, if I select the floor slab edge, and I'll select slab edge 2 and click this, you can see the new profile I just created on the top of the floor. But I don't need it on the top of the floor. I'd rather have it at the base of the floor. But that's not an issue. There are two ways to do this. You can do this here and then later move it down. So let's say I'm placing the slab edge and something happens and it stops. I can select it, click on add or remove segment, and then continue placing it. So now if I'm placing it on another surface and it's not exactly what I expect it to be, I can stop here, select it, type CS. CS is create similar. It's going to create me a new slab edge, and I can come here to start. Now, if I place the slab edge and it's exactly the way I need it to be, then I can leave it and continue. So let's say we have these two slab edge. There is an option for vertical profile where you can take it down. So because this is too high, because I placed it here. So I can take it down to let's say minus 75 thereabouts, if that's okay by me, on the vertical offset. And you can see this floor slab edge will go down minus 75. If you want to take it down more, let's say minus 100, minus 125, you can do that, and you can see you've created your kerbs for your floor slab edge. You can apply materials to it, and then you can also continue applying it around. So this is one way to create it. Another way to create it might be to just create it maybe around a particular floor, we go around the whole place. Like I can use the tab key to just place it around. Let me delete this for a second. So I can go to floor, click on floor slab edge. I can come here and just press tab key at the base edge of this and click on it. And it's going to create a floor slab all around the base edge of this. If I want to flip it, you can flip it left or right. Now, I've created a floor slab edge, although it's flipped inside the wall, but it's there. So you can see it around this edge here. So you can see it this way. So if I wanted to adjust it the same way, the vertical profile, if you wanted to raise it up a little bit, for example 50 mm, you can do that and it's going to go around. So this is far more easier, and you can still add and remove segments depending on where the floor slab is crossing. You can add or remove segments. So for now, I'm not doing anything of that sort. I'm just giving you ideas on how to place your floor slab edge for a site plan. When doing a site plan for presentation work, I think personally it's always better to, just leave the roof to show, just as Revit does it. The reason being that many clients will not understand when you just shade the edge of the building. But, if you tell them the site, this is it from the top, this is the roof, it looks much more presentable. Something I want to point out here very quickly is that although this is in shaded view, my grass is not showing green. Now the reason is because of when I was applying material. So I'll use the tab key, double clicking. Click on edit type, go to edit, just go to the material. So under graphics, in this new material I created, I didn't check this box, use render appearance. If you check it, click on OK. It's going to always be green. It's going to use the render appearance whenever it's in graphics mode. Whenever it's in consistent colors or shaded, it's going to give you that green materials. It won't wait for it until it's in textured mode like this. So it's going to always be green now. So that goes for any material you are working with in Revit. So this is how to create and apply floor kerbs. And don't forget, you can also apply materials to floor kerbs. And this makes your work more realistic. So you can create the profile, you can save it, and then you can have it applied at the edge of your floors. So to finish up my design for the site plan circulation, I just noticed I made a mistake here in positioning my site in the building. The good thing about this is I can select your property line, move it. I'm using the left button now just to shift it a little bit to centralize my design more to the left to have space to go to the back. I can use tab to delete the lines I used to trace my property line. Then I can select all the floors I've made. I can use the move tool by clicking on move here to move my property line to the edge. So the only thing here that I need to adjust will be the opening of this green area. So I'll double click on it to take it to the sketch mode. Use tab while hovering over one of the lines. Press on tab. Okay, I don't need to press on tab now, but nevertheless, I'm going to just select this area of this line here together with the access line, and then click and drag until it fits the building. So apparently I will have to do that again because my floors overlap. I also have to do that for this floor. So I'll double click. It's important when editing to double click and not select the floor slab edge. Make sure you are selecting the floor itself and not the floor slab edge. So that's very important. And after that, I'll click finish. Now the good thing is, if you do that properly, you don't need to create your floor slab edge again. So your floor slab edge will always be there when you move your floor, and that's what has happened. So I'm going to just add some sit out here and introduce walkways just for us to master how to edit this. So I'll use the tab to make sure I'm selecting the floor, click on it. I just want to use lines here, like a walkway. This like 1, 2, can leave it at 1, 7, so that 2 people can pass. I'll do this and use a circle at the center here. Let's say a 3-meter circle or 2 7-meter circles. So I'll use the split tool. Use it here to split this circle. I can turn on delete inner segment for this. And then I'll use the trim tool this here to trim this circle. I also split the inner segment of this line and this line. So I just want something like this as an opening. I can also use this fillet arc to have some curves here. I can leave this at 900. Click on this tool, click to have the curve, and then click here to make it 900. So let me explain how I do the fillet arcs a little bit carefully. For you to have a fillet, you click this line. Now, if you go this way, it's not possible to have a fillet between these two. So you have to drag your mouse, move your mouse this way without clicking anything. I'm not clicking or dragging, just move my mouse this way and click. Once I click, this temporal dimension will appear. I will need to click on it and then maybe set it to the exact dimension I want. So that's how to create a fillet arc. I can select this, copy, maybe place another one somewhere here. So I have 2 of this. I need to split open this line. For me to do that, I'll click on split element. See my check delete inner segment is checked. I'll click here, making sure the right line is highlighted, and it's going to delete the inner segment. And once that is done, I can click finish. So I have this opening. I want to create a different floor finish here, like I've done in the past. So let's do that. I can edit an existing floor. So I can select this floor, click on edit type. No, I don't select this floor. So I'm just going to click on floor, click on edit type, duplicate, and then call this stone 150 mm stone. Click on OK. Now, you see I always duplicate the floor so I don't edit the existing floor. Then click on edit, change the materials to something else. So let me say marble. I'm just looking for a different finish. Then something I didn't do, click on edit, go back to the material. Under graphics, see this is checked, use render appearance for this. That's good. So I have a new floor. I'll click on pick lines since I have the boundaries of this floor, so I don't need to start drawing all these curves. And then I'll use this line to finish it up. Once this is done, I can use tab key to select these whole lines. Click on copy here, and then I'll move this floor to this end. So click finish. It depends if I want to set the change in level or something, but let's see what we have in the 3D. So this is what we have. These two are exactly on the same level, so maybe I'll prefer this one to be down a little bit at 0. Height from offset, set it as 0. And then I can also place my floor slab edge by selecting this. You can say create similar by typing CS or right clicking and doing that. And then depending on the edge I click on, everything changes. So if I click here, you see I'm placing it on this. This is to flip it horizontally this way. So add or remove. Now I'm clicking on the new one, not on the green. So because of that, I need to be consistent, rotate my view by pressing Shift and the center button and then going through this. So the same thing here. Like I said earlier, if I just used tab, I'll be able to place all of it at once. And if I'm placing it and it stops, I can just select, click on add and remove, and then continue. So when I select this floor slab edge, notice these two selects because I created them at the same time. And I can use the vertical horizon and let's say vertical offset of the profile to bring it down. So I'm going to bring it down to minus 75 thereabouts, like I did the last one. So this is how to create, much more variety in form and shape for your site plan. And this is it. So the next thing I want to do will be to add vegetation. So to add vegetation is as easy as adding components. So if you have those vegetation downloaded already, it's just as easy as clicking and dragging. That's what I'm going to do. If you click on component and click on load family, so this is under my personal library, Revit library. I think I'll leave a link to it below this course. You can support the channel while downloading it. So under entourage, if you have a library, I can have trees, I have trees, and these trees are 3D trees. Now, the good thing about 3D trees, like they're imported, these trees are not that heavy, and they are low poly, but they are just good for presentation and for using Revit. So I can select it. Notice that I can still place these vegetations in 3D, and I can still scale them down, although I knew I had one I'd already scaled down, but nevertheless. So let me just show you, in case we have a big tree like this, how to scale it down. So I can select this vegetation, this particular one, click on edit family, and it's just a box. So if I select it here under scale, even if it's in floor plan, let's say go to the floor plan view so that you don't move it very far. Select this, click on rescale, this is it here. You can select either graphical or numerical. I'll leave it at graphical. So for graphical, you click set a specific height and then just drag it down, and it's going to rescale to the size you want. Once you are done, you can load into the existing project you are working on, override the graphics in view. So this will just give me that kind of feel for 3D trees. So we can still use it for shrubs, and sorry, I double clicked on that. We can still use it for shrubs and have them around. Although in Revit, I would not advise that much, since most times we may not render in this software, so you can have more vegetations in the software you render in. But maybe just for your graphics on site, have some vegetations and give you that feel. It's not a bad thing at all to have, depending on how powerful your system is. We can also have packing here. So under architecture, if you click on components, I think most times this template comes with packing. If you search for packing components, you'll find some. So this is like the default ones that come with this template. This is 48x24 packing. You can see it here. Pressing the spacebar allows you to rotate it, and the highlighted floor tells you the level at which the packing will be placed. So if you just place it once, you can keep placing it. It has this kind snap tool that would allow you to place more than 1, 2, 3 packing. And this is the same way you are able to place other vegetation, packing, cars. If you have cars, like in my component load family under entourage, I can look for bus and vans and vehicles. And so I have some vehicles already as part of this folder, and it depends on me. If I have need for them, I can just place some lightweight ones there within the project. These are 3D Max vehicles that have been imported. Some of them are actually Revit files also. So this family can be used there. So pressing spacebar would allow you to do this and place components within your project. So this is how I'm setting up my site, maybe not entirely graphically, but setting up my site to be able to work. Now, one thing you should notice here is if you have a good library, you can do a lot in a very short time. So it's important to have a good library. So this is something I try to avoid in 3D Max components, because they come with all these lines and sometimes they can bug. So you can see the difference between these two cars. So when I import cars, sometimes I'm trying to get the ones that don't have that so much roughness, to show that they were imported from another software. So most of these cars, they were imported from that software, and they come highly pixelated. So except I have something clean like this I can use. So, and the reason I'm using this one is because they are just placeholders for your graphics. When you go to your rendering software, you can get the actual cars and then place them there. So but for now, this is how we go about modeling and setting up our presentation plan. We'll now start working on the graphics for the presentation plan. So to begin our graphics, we'll place our view on sheet. So I'm going to go to the sheets. Under the sheets, I've created some sheets already. Double click on site plan to open the sheet for the site plan. And then I'll go to under floor plans, the site, click on it, click and then drag it into the view. And then click once to place it. Now, it's always good while thinking about graphics to know how you want to communicate your work. The next thing I'm going to do is to activate the view. There are two ways to activate the view. You can double click, or while the view is selected, you can click activate view. When you activate a view, the view becomes active within the sheet. So you can see the view and you can see the sheet grayed out. What I want to do is to place my view properly on sheet. So I'm going to set the scale. I'll come down here. There are two ways to do it. There's scale here as a shortcut down here, and there's also scale here. So if I click here and change the scale, let's say 1:200, you can see how small it gets. I can scroll up to custom and leave it as, let's say, scale 1:150, and see how this gets. Now, once I get the right scale or close to the right scale, I can right click and select deactivate view. This will enable me to click on the view and drag it and position it on the sheet where it's going to look okay for me. So for me, this is still a little bit long. So I'm going to just leave it at scale 1:200 while it's inside the sheet. This looks sizable. So I'm going to try and position this somewhere here. I'm positioning it on one side because as a presentation site plan, I might still want to put like an isometric view here and leave some information here. This always helps. So I've placed this on my sheet here. I'll double click to activate it. The next step I want to do is to crop the view, to crop out things I don't need in this view right now. I'll come down here under this icon. You see it here. It says crop view. Select it and then also click on this one, show crop region. It's going to show this crop region. You select it and then you click at the anchors and drag. It's going to crop out. Let's start from the views, elevation points that are in the sheet. Okay, in this case, this particular elevation is here, so it didn't crop it out. What I can do is to click and select over it. Make sure you select over the two icons. Right click, select hide in view. You can say elements or category, whichever one. So I'm just going to go category. So I've hidden those views up there, and then I can position this to just fit into my site properly, into my sheet properly. So this is the first step you want to do, and then you might want to delete or hide anything you don't need. Let's say the grid lines, I don't need it here. I can right click, say hide in view and categories. You can have a shortcut for this set in your keyboard shortcuts or options. After this, double clicking outside of the view, outside of the crop boundary of the view, will allow you to deactivate the view, and then let's say move it up a bit, move it to the corner, and then position it properly. The next thing I want to do is to place this title of the sheet properly here. To do that, make sure this is not selected. Click on it and drag it to where you want to position it. So let's say here or here. That's okay. Once you do that, for you to reduce this length of this line that is this long, select the whole view. This will become active. Then you can drag it down to this point, so we can see this rightly placed. Double clicking on the viewport, on the view you've placed here, will activate the view. In double clicking within it, and then you can still easily adjust this. If you decide to check this height curve boundary, the height curve boundary will go off. And so I've placed my work on sheet. There is this blue icon here showing the north arrow. It's always appearing on the survey plan. You can select it. You can select it. Let me see. Click, right click, and hide in view if you don't want to see it on your drawing. I don't know if when you print it prints out, but you can still hide it, let's say, for all intents and purposes. And so this is good. I might want to put a 3D view here. So I'll go to a 3D, my original 3D view, just a normal 3D view in this project. Let's say I want to have an isometric view. I'll click on the home key, sort of this. I'll go ahead to duplicate this view by right clicking on the 3D view, click on duplicate. I can duplicate with detailing, and I will just convert this into, I can right click to rename it, and let's say I can convert it into 3D site. Let me just say I want to use this as part of my view. Okay, I can't have the brackets there, so I'm going to delete this and just call this 3D site. So with this, I can do two things. I'll turn on the crop view like I did before and turn on the show crop edges. And the same way, I'm going to crop this view till I just have my site. Once it's this small, you can scroll in to make it bigger, or you can type ZF to zoom to fit. And then there is this icon here, the padlock icon with a 3D house, that allows you to lock a 3D view. So you can click on it and say save orientation and lock view. So what this does is it locks this view and you're unable to pan or move around. This view is just the view you want. And so once this is done, I can go back to my site and then I will click and drag this into the site. So as we can see, this is also a very big stuff. It's in scale 1:100. I can come under view scale, set it to scale 1:200, and the smaller, I need it smaller again. I can go to custom and let's say set it to scale 1:300 and see if it is okay this way. So I just need something small this way. I'll go again through what I just explained now. I'll select this. While it's selected, I can drag this line to this point and then click and drag this to a good point. I can also double click on this and click on this to hide crop view, and then right click to deactivate view or double click outside. So what I'm just doing here, some people might decide to do it in InDesign, in other softwares, but I'm just giving you like ideas on how to present your site plan in such a way that it's appreciable and in such a way that it feels like you're working in a 3D environment. And so in this section of this sheet, you can decide to use it for your site analysis. For now, the easiest way I can just ask you to do that is to use the Annotate tool and then the text tool and the detail line tool. You can draw that on sheet. So if I use the detail line tool, let's say I select a thick line tool, or like for the edges, this is too thick. So let me say 0.6. I'll draw a rectangle for some details. I can draw a line here for, let's say, thick line, and then I can use maybe thinner 0.2 lines for the other text there. So I can select this and then copy this down, select, copy, make sure multiple is checked, something of this sort. I can select this line CS, create similar, and then now it depends on how many details you want to put and how big the text is. You can also use the text here, the annotate text, to do this. You can do this on the sheet, you can do this on the drafting view. So this text is too big. I'll come here, select, let's say text 4. So I can put a name or serial number and description, or name and description. So what I can do here is so we can say total area of site. Total area of site. You know, you put in some details. You can copy this down, and then later on you change them. Total area of site, total buildable area. You know, all those kind of information. Total green area. We can do like percentage built up area. So it depends on how much site analysis you want to do. So I'm just setting up this for presentation in a kind and nice way. So once this is done and you've been able to prepare your sheet as much as you can, but at least you can use this as a standard. I'm trying to just move this to one corner. I'll have to move this back up here. Okay. So once this is done, you're beginning to have an idea of how your sheet is going to look when presented. So whether you're doing this in Revit or you're doing this in another software, fine. If you have some annotation to make or legends to annotate, you can also do that and have some kind of box to explain it by the side. The most important thing in presentation drawing is that you win your client over with little stress. So once this is done, we can go ahead to set some graphics. Double click to activate this. Now, to set your graphics in your site plan, the most important thing is the edge of the building roof. I've already done some things here. I'll just show you what I did. I used the line work here, clicked on it, this icon here, and I think selected line 9, and I used it to form these edges here. So I'll just select these edges here just to make sure my roof comes out as the most profound element within the site, because I'm showing my roof plan in this presentation drawing. I can decide to be showing my like the boundaries of the building. It doesn't matter. So I just took this option. So that's what I did for the roof plan. But mostly when you want to have graphic overrides in a view, you can easily select it and use the override graphics in view. So I'll select this, right click, say override graphics in view, override by category. So once you say by category, everything there changes. So this is the property line I'm trying to override. So if it's a projection line, you can override the pattern, the color, and the width. So that's good. So I just did something like, right click, override graphics in view by category. I'm going to set the pattern line to center line. I'm changing the color maybe to make it stand out to red. And I can change the weight to, let's say, 8. Let's see how it goes. When you apply, you can see the effect of your changes. If you think it's not going to show properly with regards to the scale and you want to improve it, fine. So I can leave it somewhere around 9 or 10 because I really want it to be bold enough. And you can easily change the intensity of the color and exactly what you are looking for. So with this, you can begin to adjust the graphics to what you need. Let me say, for example, this field region I have here, because I'm using a colored, I'm using for now shaded view. If I wanted to use the hidden line views to make this, I can still do that. But I think I prefer either consistent or shaded when doing this kind of things. So if you have already applied some kind of materials, it helps. Right click, override graphics in view by element. This for a particular floor, so I cannot make it by category because I want this floor different. There are many things you can do here. We have transparency to soften it because I don't want the green to be competing so much with the building. I want it to be a little bit faded. I can also put some background, like, you know, just some items here at the back that'll make it feel like the foreground or the background. Now I'm certain that the background is not working. Let me check it in the foreground. I just want to put some feel to it that'll make it look like grass, you know, that kind of. Okay, so because it's in shaded mode, I can't apply some of these surface patterns. So if I was going to be able to do that, I need to turn off shaded mode. But if I'm not turning off shaded mode, then I need to do it maybe via the material or something else. So this is very important to point out. So if I come here and let's say, for example, change this to hidden line, or not hidden line, to, yes, to hidden line, sorry. We should be able to see the material I applied. So possibly, I think it was even showing under shaded mode. So it was actually showing under shaded mode. It was just that it was too tiny for me to see it. So yes, this was correctly done to be under shaded mode. So if I come here and you can click this and go back to none by material, it's going to go back. What we can do here, you can also edit this maybe by scale, because this is 1.0 and it's not showing. So if I can do this maybe like 0.05 by scale. Sorry, let me check 10. Okay, I think the bigger the number, the bigger it gets. So although this is not what I want, this looks like concrete at all. I wanted something that looks like sand, or, you know, the feel of grass with sand around. So I might have to go down to maybe this plasterboard feel. This looks better. So if you do apply material and the scale is not working for you, you can come here and, you know, change the scale and see how it works. The same thing for the road networks. If you select this floor, let's say, for example, I'm not selecting the floor now. I just clicked on the edge and I'm selecting the floor slab edge. I need to press tab to select the floor. So I'll keep changing till I get the right one. Override graphics in view by element. And let's say foreground. And I can scroll through this based on my template. So I have some I've downloaded, like this gravel pebblestone kind of feel. Click on apply. You can see the scale is making it look dark. So I can click edit this and then put 4. Click OK. Still looking very dark. Edit. I can make it like, let's say 20. Click OK. Click OK. So this is really large now. So basically, override graphics in view by element, and we can go ahead to try and sort this out. So this is how we can apply this. I don't know why it just went black immediately. Let me check. I think it's because of the texture and the scale of it, and I think it had some color. So I may rather just not do that. So I've tried to set up these graphics, and the next thing I want to do is just to turn on my shadow. Now, turning on your shadow can hang your system, so you need to be careful about that. If you don't really want to do it and you don't have a hard system, fine, but if you do it, it can give your view a very nice feel. So let's go and see how to do that. You just come on here under this icon, click on it once, and it's going to turn on the shadows for the view. Now, when it turns on the shadow for the view, see, it took a while. You can come under this icon, the graphic display option, click on it to set the properties of the shadow. So let me start from the basic properties. You might want ambient shadows and may not want full shadows. So if I click on that, the main shadow will go and we just have some kind of ambient shadow. But the reform comes with ambient shadow and cast shadows, because that's where you get to see all the shadows that you want to see. And then the next thing here is under lighting. It controls the darkness of the shadow. So if I come here and I reduce it to 16, the intensity of the shadow reduces. So that's also a good thing. One disadvantage about shadows is when you use them, you may not be able to print as vector. I think you'll just be able to print as raster. So if you are trying to use this in InDesign or Illustrator where you need vectors, then you may not necessarily have to apply this. I just turned on the ambient light, because if you turn on ambient shadow, then if turning on ambient light also helps. So ambient light will brighten the scene if it's much, like it has done in this case, make the scene brighter. So it's left for you. It depends on what you want. You can have it a little bit here and there. So having smooth lines with anti-aliasing will smoothen the feel of your site, both in the shadows, everything. It gives it this smooth feel. But this also depends on the quality of your graphic card. So if you have a very good graphic card, it helps. If you don't, it's not better I turn it on. Now, the next thing I want to do is to set the shadows. You can set the shadows from adjusting your sun path. So this is done by clicking on the sun path and clicking on sun setting. When you click on sun setting, you can go ahead to set this relative to view, the altitude and the azimuth to reduce the flow of this. So that's relative to view. I'll try like 225 to, let's say, 15 and click apply. I'm trying to reduce the spread of the shadow. So okay, so you can see it moves this way. It's a little bit shorter. So it's left for us to, play around with this, play around with all this, and get the good feel we want for our view. And once that is done, I can click on OK. Now you notice as I play around with the sun, the ambient lighting also gets a little bit brighter. So if I wanted to change this just to remind you, you click on this icon, the graphic display options. When it opens up under lighting, you can reduce this. You can also reduce the depth of the lighting and the ambient light. And then click on apply. I want to see if depth queuing works on site plans. Okay, it's not active here. It's more active on elevations. You can go ahead to export this and see how the site is. My system is hanging, like you can see. So I'm going to just turn off the shadow. Mostly the shadow. Once you turn off the shadow, you can see the system acts well. So if you are using the shadow and you have used some really large components or model, it might affect your system's speed. So what you might want to do is to just turn on the shadow right before you are exporting your view, if that's the case. So this is how to set up your site for presentation. You can have some annotation. This is not just the best way. I'm just doing this for this tutorial. You can have some annotations here and there around the site if you also choose. If you don't want to have a 3D view attached to it this way, you can delete this, have some annotation, have some other information right here beside the site. So thanks for watching. We'll continue with setting out our presentation, floor plans, and elevations in the next class. Do leave a like, share, and subscribe.